Yo, what up guys, Jamie from Jamie's Detailing, and recently I had one of these IK foam sprayers go out on me in the middle of a job. So in the middle of this job, this IK foam sprayer literally would just not build pressure anymore. So I went ahead and took it apart, found a little problem with it, and I figured out how to fix these things for around 50 cents when your pump goes out. So today we're going to be going over how to maintain your IK foam sprayers, and I'm going to show you guys how to upgrade these things with the Schrader valve. That way you guys don't have to pump these things up 30-40 times in order just to build that initial pressure that you need to get them to spray. So let's go ahead and jump back to the table. I'm going to show you guys everything that you need in order to fix the pump on this thing, which is really only about 50 cents. And I'm going to show you guys everything that you need in order to upgrade these so that you guys can use your air compressor on it to build that initial pressure. That way you guys aren't sitting there for 30 seconds to a minute trying to pump this thing up just so you can, spray your wheels or whatever you're trying to do with your pump sprayer at that time. Let's go ahead and jump back to this table real quick. I'm going to show you guys everything you need in order to fix the pump on this guy, and then we're going to toss this thing on a bench, and I'm going to take it all apart, show you guys how to fix it and how to upgrade it. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's go ahead and jump back here, and I'm going to show you guys what we need. Our shelf, I actually have our 4 IK foam sprayers, or our 4 IK sprayers. One of them is just a standard, and the other 3 are all foaming sprayers. Now, this sprayer right here, guys, we actually don't need to do anything with it. This is my newest sprayer. It has all brand new O-rings and everything on here, so I don't really need to replace these yet. An easy way to tell that you guys need to replace your O-ring on your pump is when you guys are pumping it, there will actually be fluid coming out of the center here. So if you guys are having fluid coming out of your pump itself, that's a good sign that your O-ring is getting really close to going out and that you need to do some maintenance on your IK foam sprayer. So right now this thing's looking pretty good. It looks like I actually need to tighten up that Schrader valve a little bit. But this one also has a Schrader valve built into it, so we don't need to do anything with this. This is the one that I would recommend if you guys are looking to get into IK foam sprayers or looking to purchase your first IK foam sprayer. I would just go with the one with the Schrader valve. It makes life so much easier. You're not having to pump this thing up 30 times literally just to build up that initial pressure. And it's also going to save you from having to do the maintenance on these IK foam sprayers, because you can just fill it up with air instead of having to pump it up and wear out your O-rings. That is the one that I would recommend if you guys are buying one. But if you guys already have IK foam sprayers that you guys need to maintain and that you potentially want to upgrade, these ones are still super great. This is the one that I use just for my waterless wash. This is probably going to be the one that we'll take apart for our quick little demo here. But this one doesn't have a Schrader valve, and this one I've had for like a year and a half plus, and I've actually never done maintenance on this one. I've just never had a problem with it. But this little guy right here, I use like crazy. This is the one that I'll just keep empty and, refill with different products. These ones I kind of have standard. This one's my waterless wash. This one's my tire cleaner. And this one is my APCD, my all-purpose cleaner degreaser. So now that we got that out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and go over all the tools and stuff that you guys are going to need in order to not only fix your pump on your IK sprayers, which all of these are the exact same as far as the pump mechanism. They all use the same O-ring, all that kind of stuff. And what you guys are going to need to actually upgrade your IK foam sprayer so that you guys can use an air compressor on it or a pump. So the very first thing that we're going to need, guys, is you guys are going to want to go over to your local hardware store and get a 7/8 outer diameter and a 5/8 inner diameter O-ring. Now, this is the O-ring that we're going to need to replace for our pump, which I'll show you guys in just a few minutes. And I actually went and bought out all of these from the hardware store. So they only had 5 in stock. I bought all 5 of them. So anyways, moving on, guys, the next thing that we're going to want, and these tools are all for our Schrader valve or our valve stem upgrade. So I'm going to go ahead and be using one of these. This is a center punch. This is actually going to push into our plastic on the bottle so that we have a nice little divot on our bottle where we can put our drill bit so our drill bit isn't walking all across our bottle as we're trying to get our hole started. So this thing, we're just going to push in like that. It's going to leave a nice little divot, which I doubt you guys can see that. But again, you guys just push this into your bottle. It's going to leave a nice little divot, and that's where you can actually start your drill. That's where you guys can actually start drilling, and it's not going to walk all the way across that plastic bottle. Moving on from our punch, we do need that drill, which is a 5/16 drill bit. This is for our valve stem. This is the size that we need for our valve stem. Moving on from there, guys, I also have a little centering bit, a little center drill bit thing. I'm not 100% sure what these are called, but this is just a tiny little drill bit with a, conical head that helps you center up your tap and stuff like that when you need to tap holes. I got that for free from a buddy of mine years and years and years ago, and have never needed to buy a new one since. So yeah, I forget what it's called because I didn't have to buy it. But anyways, other than that little centering bit, or then this centering kind of drill bit thing that we're going to be using, we also need a tap. So along with our tap, we also have a little T-handle, and this is actually going to hold our tap so that we can put our threads, which are the MNPT threads, on these valves. So we're going to go ahead and use this tap to be able to put these valves in. So that way we can screw the valve in and we can unscrew it to take it out. If you guys really wanted to, you guys could even put a bolt in there if you wanted to kind of make it go back to a normal bottle and not have the valve on. Now, if you guys didn't want to do the threads and all that kind of stuff, you guys could get a standard valve stem. This is the kind that would go in like a wheel or something like that at the tire shop. You guys can get these at Ace Hardware, Home Depot. You guys can get these dang near anywhere. So check out your local auto parts store, Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description for all this stuff down below so that you guys can have an easy time finding it. But check out your local stores and stuff, because a lot of times you guys can get stuff that are a little bit cheaper and you're not paying that built-in shipping price like on Amazon. Anyways, guys, along with that, you also want to get just a little thread tape. If you guys are using the MNPT valve stems, then you guys are going to want a little pipe tape or some pipe dope, whatever they call it, something to help seal that bottle when you screw in your valve stem. But that's pretty much it, guys. So you really only need a few things, and if you're not doing the upgrade, all you need are the O-rings. So if all you need is the O-rings, that's super easy, and it's literally like 50 cents over at the hardware store for one of these O-rings. So get yourself some dedicated O-rings. One thing I should mention: now, one thing I want to mention is you guys aren't going to want to go to like Harbor Freight or somewhere like that and get one of these universal O-ring kits. They just don't have the O-ring that you need in here, guys. It's going to be super hit or miss if this thing actually has an O-ring that you need in it. I always find that these kits never have the O-ring that I need. I always have to go to the store and find the exact O-ring that I need. So these kits are great just to have on deck in an emergency, but honestly, guys, you guys are going to have to go and get the actual O-ring that you need, which is that 7/8 outer diameter and a 5/8 inner diameter O-ring. So that's the O-ring that you guys need. I'll link it in the description down below. But now that we've gone over all the tools and everything that you need for this upgrade, now let's go ahead and, I don't know if I should do the upgrade back here or if I should bring over a table. I think I'm going to bring over a table and show you guys this upgrade real quick. This is our IK foam sprayer. This one actually still works, but like I said, this one went out on me randomly. So I actually already did fix this one. I replaced the O-rings, and I already installed the valve stem on this. this, but we're going to do the exact same thing to this slightly bigger one. So first things first, guys, the first thing you got to do is actually take off your bottle, or remove the bottle from the pump itself. So we're just going to go ahead and set that off to the side real quick. And the next thing that you guys are going to want to do is you guys can go ahead and remove this straw here. Straw just pops right off, along with this inner tube. So we're also going to take this inner tube off. This inner tube covers the actual pump itself, and in the bottom of the pump there is a gasket here. This is actually where all the air gets pumped into the bottle, so the air passes past this little gasket when you go up and down with your pump, and that's what actually pushes the air into the bottle itself. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and remove that little gasket at the bottom here. And now the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to unscrew this center post here, the center part of the pump. And we're just going to unscrew this, just like so. And that just slides right off of our pump. So now we are left with this little guy. And on top of here, you guys will actually notice our first O-ring. Now, this O-ring will come in the IK maintenance kit, the IK sprayer maintenance kit, but today we're not replacing all of the O-rings. We're only replacing this O-ring that is at the bottom of our pump that makes the seal with the inside of this tube. And as you guys are pumping it up and down, that's what actually creates that pressure. We're going to go ahead and continue taking this guy apart. Now that we have, now if all you guys were doing was replacing that O-ring for the pump itself, this is as far as you guys need to go. But I do want to show you guys how to actually, you know, kind of take more of this pump apart. So first things first, guys, we can actually lift off the entire top of this pump. And our trigger just fell out, but we'll get to that in just a second. So you guys will see this entire pump handle part of the pump does come out. Now, I'm not going to do all this part, but you guys can push in these tabs at the bottom of this little, this middle piece here. There's some tabs in there, and that's how you can actually get this entire piece to come off. But we don't need to do that. We're just doing a quick maintenance on this. So anyways, guys, along with that, you guys, just so you guys can see how this works, this is the little relief valve. So you guys can just see how that works. It's just a simple plunger that kind of plunges into the body here. When you pull it up, it releases the air. That's as simple as it works. It's pretty simple the way it works. Anyways, then we also have the rest of this foam sprayer. Now, if you get the whole kit, it even comes with this plastic piece. We don't need all that. We only need the O-ring for the actual pump itself. So now, along with those other couple O-rings that I showed you guys, there is an O-ring on the end of this plunger. There's an O-ring on the inside of your sprayer cap. So this is what actually seals against the top of the lid here. So all of those gaskets may need to be replaced from time to time, but I don't need to replace all of those gaskets. There is one more gasket inside of here. There's a couple more gaskets on here. One is at the end of your sprayer, and the same goes for the foaming sprayers. There is a small O-ring at the end of there. And I actually don't know if there's an O-ring here. I would think so. And there is an O-ring on the inside of here that makes contact with that for when you screw this little nozzle on. So anyways, guys, there's a bunch of O-rings on here. They all will eventually need to get fixed, most likely. But the one that goes out the quickest is the one on the end of here. Now, I actually already cleaned this all up, so I'm just going to put in some pictures of what this guy looks like as it's kind of wearing out. But you guys will notice there'll be all sorts of gunk down here, like this rubbery kind of gunk all around the area of the O-ring. And as that O-ring deteriorates, all that broken up rubber is not only going to be going into your fluids or your chemicals, but it's also will make this pump harder to pump. It'll start leaking eventually, and that's when you start getting your chemicals coming out of the top of your handle, or coming out of the top of the body of this thing. And so yeah, those are all just kind of things to look out for. If you're having any leaking coming through the center post, then you know that O-ring goes out. But again, guys, this is the O-ring that goes out the quickest, is the one that's actually on the moving piece of this whole device, of this whole sprayer. So anyways, guys, how do we go ahead and replace this O-ring? It's super simple. Now, if you have the whole kit, again, it would be best to obviously replace all the O-rings at once. But I am doing a little cheat here, and I just want to replace this O-ring that cost me 50 cents to get. So I'm going to take off that old O-ring, and you guys kind of saw what the other O-ring out of the other pump sprayer, but it actually came out in pieces, and it's kind of hard and brittle. It's not like a fresh new O-ring. Even this one that came off of this unit is in much better condition than the one that came off the smaller unit. So I'm just going to come back here and grab one of those fresh O-rings. I was playing with this a minute ago, so I got to clean that O-ring back off. But anyways, guys, so we're going to go ahead and grab one of those fresh 7/8 outer diameter, 5/8 inner diameter. We're going to go ahead and grab one of these O-rings. And we're just going to toss this O-ring right here where we took off our old O-ring. So we're just going to toss that guy right here. And now, I want to take a little bit of petroleum jelly. So I just got a little bit of petroleum jelly here on my finger. And I am just going to put this around this O-ring. And this is going to help this O-ring actually create a nice seal on that pump. And it's also going to provide a little bit of lubrication, just so our pump hopefully isn't going out so quick. So go ahead and get that guy coated in a little bit of petroleum jelly. These do come with a little bit of petroleum jelly from the factory. So, you know, you're not doing anything that isn't already being done from the factory. And again, there is petroleum jelly inside this old tube. So we're just going to take our rag and wipe out any of the old stuff that's in there as best you can. All right, and now that we have done that guy's good to go. We're just going to go ahead and toss this whole thing back together. So first things first, we're going to put our trigger on there. We're going to go ahead and slide this guy right through the middle here, making sure our little plunger with our spring is going into that hole. From here, let's go ahead and put our finger on the top there. Put our finger up top, hold that down, and we can go ahead and get this guy started. Now, you may have to just kind of get your finger on there and get that O-ring tucked into this little tube. Once it is in, it is in. Here we go. Oh. I let it slip out. So you want that to be a nice perfect seal on there. So get that nice and sealed. I'm going to grab my rag over here. Make sure I don't have a bunch of extra Vaseline on the outside, or petroleum jelly on the outside of there. So now, this thing's all ready to go back together, guys. And you guys can see we got a perfect seal going all the way around that O-ring. We can see it on there. It looks perfect. So we're just going to go ahead and pop that guy in. Give it a tighten that guy down. You don't need this to be too tight. There is an O-ring on it. So you just need it to be tight enough for the O-ring to do its job. Next up, guys, let's go ahead and put this our little gasket back in the bottom of our pump. This is where that air comes out and slips past into the bottle. Next up, guys, we're going to put our straw back in, and we're going to put our little tube on. And you don't want to actually push this all the way up here, because then it has a harder time doing what it needs to do. So I like to just kind of put this tube on just a little bit, and then it'll go down to the whatever length it needs to be for your bottle, whether you're using a 1.5 size bottle, or you guys are using the full, what is this, 2 liters? Anyways, just let's get it. All right, guys, so this thing is all back together, and let me make sure our pump's working. Whew, you guys can see how long it takes to pump this thing up, which is kind of ridiculous. All right, everything's working how it should. Our pump's working. We don't hear any leaks or anything like that. And that's good to go, guys. So as far as maintenance, that's all that you guys need to do. So the maintenance on these things is super easy, super quick, and literally most of the time it is just a 50-cent O-ring that you guys need to get these things back up and running. But up next, guys, I want to show you guys how to do the upgrade on this thing, which I think is super valuable if you guys are using these things all the time. It's just going to save you a ton of time. I mean, you guys just saw, obviously, when you have liquid in here, it doesn't take quite as long, but just the fact that sometimes you need to pump this thing literally 30 times just to get enough pressure to be able to spray your chemical, that's just too much for me. And I am already running an air compressor on my mobile detailing setup, so it just makes sense for me to put a valve stem on this guy. So let me show you guys really quickly how to update this bottle so that you guys aren't going to have to pump this thing so many times just to get your initial pressure built up in there. So taking off our bottle, so we're going to go ahead and take off our bottle, and we'll put the pump to the side for now, and the first thing that we are going to need is our center punch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to find the center of this thing. So this thing is kind of put together in halves. You guys will notice there's like a little line on each side where they're kind of molded together. So I want to find that line, the line that's on there, and I don't want to weaken that point or anything like that, guys. So I'm going to go 90 degrees from those lines that are here on the side. So I'm going to find those lines, which are right here and there, and I'm going to go about 90 degrees from there, and I want to go as far up to the top as possible without this thing sticking too far out. So let's just see where we need it. I want to put this hole right about here, as far up as possible. So we're going to go right in between these two notches and right about there. So I'm going to take this guy, and once you get this thing where you want it, all you're going to do is push it in, just like that. And this is going to create a nice little divot for your drill bit to go into. Now, I don't think, without me running and grabbing a macro lens, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see the little divot that I just created on here. But there is a little divot on here, and that is actually going to help our drill bit from walking all around the actual thing that we're drilling. So anytime that you guys are drilling a hole like in metal or a hard plastic or anything like that, you're probably going to want one of these center punches. So this is like $5-7 over at Harbor Freight. Get your guys selves one of these. I'll put a link in the description down below just in case you need one. But again, guys, these things are awesome. This is one of my favorite tools when it comes to drilling and all that kind of stuff. But now that we have that little divot, our drill bit is actually gonna kind of fit in that divot. The very tip of our drill bit fits in that divot. And that's exactly what we want. That way, when this drill bit starts spinning, it's not going all... If you guys don't know what the drill bit walking is, It's when the drill bit, you put it down somewhere, and it's like running across the thing before it actually starts making your hole. So that divot is going to keep that hole right there and keep the drill bit from walking all across the surface. Anyways, guys, I'm sure most of you guys know that already. I just try to be thorough for you guys, all right? All right, guys, and with our... I forgot to mention, but obviously anytime you need a drill bit, you probably might want a drill. So let's make sure we're not skipping any steps here. We're good to go. All right, so I'm just going to take that divot, find our hole, and try to drill as straight in as possible, which is a little tricky because this is obviously on... Woo! That went a little quicker than I thought, guys. A little quicker than I thought. All right. So now we have this perfect little round hole in here, but it's going to be super hard to put a tap or to make threads in here because this drill bit is actually just a hair too small. I mean, like a 0.5 millimeter too small for our tap, which this is our tap that I showed you guys earlier. And this is actually what's going to help us put the threads on this device, or on our bottle here. So right now, it would be really hard to get this thing started. The tap is actually tapered at the end. So usually getting these things started can be a little bit of a pain. So here's a little trick right here, guys. And that is with this little drill bit that I was showing you guys earlier. It's kind of like almost like a sink, I would think. I'm not a woodworker, guys. Anyways, all I do is hit it like that. Super quick, super easy. And it literally goes around like 2 times. I'm just trying to use that to kind of make a funnel so that this tap has an easier time getting started. So now that we did that, we can shove this tap in here. And you guys can see it's much easier to start. And once we get it started, this thing is just going to pull itself right into the bottle as we continue spinning it. And you want the tap to do the work. You don't want to be doing the work on this, guys. Let the tap do the work. Let the tap put the threads in where you need them. Otherwise, you're just going to strip that hole out. So we're going to go through. Let's go back through one more time. There we go. And now we're... I hear a baby crying. Anyways, and now we are coming out of this hole. And again, guys, this is that MNPT. All right. So now, if you guys look in here, you guys won't be able to see this, but inside of that hole, there is now threads for us to work with. So, now that we have our threads ready to go, we can move all of this stuff off. Get all this out of here. And now we're going to go ahead and grab our thread tape. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our thread tape here, and I'm going to wrap it in reverse. So I'm going clockwise. And that way when we screw this thing in, the tape isn't going to be backing itself off. So I want to make sure we put a good amount of tape on here, because this is a plastic bottle. Make sure we get a good amount on there. Alright, guys, so now we have our thread tape and we got our threads made. So I'm just going to thread this into the bottle. And as soon as it bottoms out, guys, we're good. We don't want to go past that. We don't want to strip out the hole or anything like that, because then we will need to use one of these style valve stems, which I would much rather use the MNPT style valve stem versus this style valve stem. So if we need to, though, we can always switch over to the pop-in style valve stem versus the NPT fitting. All right, guys, so now is the moment of truth. I'm just going to do this dry. We're going to get it all tested, fitted up here. All right, guys, so here is our valve stem right here. And I'm just going to grab some air. And let's see if we did anything wrong or if this is going to work. So, we're just going to go ahead and... Works perfect, guys. We have no air leaks. One way to check for air leaks, we're just going to use a nice little soapy solution here. So we do have a tiny, tiny, tiny air leak. You guys can see that. You guys see the bubbles being made. So there's a tiny little air leak. So I'll probably get something more like pipe dope or maybe even like an epoxy or something like that. And I'm actually going to get this thing in here a little bit better. I'll do that all off camera for you guys. I'm not worried about that tiny little leak. The tiny little leak isn't really going to cause any issues. Now you guys not only know how to maintain and maintenance your guys' IK sprayers, but you guys will also know how to fix your pump for only 50 cents with that O-ring from the hardware store. But if you guys want to help support the channel, you guys can always check out jamiesdetailing.com/resources. Not only do we have merchandise and stuff available on that page, but we also have all the tools and chemicals that we use for detailing and for professional detailing. So whether you guys are a DIYer or you guys are a pro detailer, definitely check out our resources page. And we even have a dilution chart up there, so you guys can check and see all the different dilution ratios that we use for all of our different chemicals and for the different tasks that we use each chemical for. So definitely check out our resources page. There's a ton of info on there. And yeah, if you guys got anything from today's video, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. Are you guys using these old school sprayers without the upgraded valve stems? And have you guys ever had to use one of those maintenance kits in order to fix one of these? Or did you guys run over to the hardware store and just pick up an O-ring like we did here today? Anyways, guys, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. That is all that I had for today's video. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.